Welcome, good afternoon. Auf Wiedersehen, bienvenue. Auf Wiedersehen is the wrong word to say, but I thought I'd just test you there. Good afternoon and welcome to the 5th episode of The Focus. The focus of this week's show is going to be a video for use in your marketing of your company, your business, your employer branding. Marketing appears everywhere that you do what you do. And I have as a very, very special guest, my very, very special friend, Wendy McDougall. Wendy, good afternoon. How the devil are you?
I am very well, Stephen. Delighted to be a guest for you.
I thought in tribute not only to you and to Firefish, but to Firefish's marketing. Today I'm wearing
which I am super impressed with. Well done, Stephen.
I'm finding that my fat neck is struggling a little bit in this.
You're just wanting the new design, you see.
That's it. What I really need is a V-neck. Although I'm told that the V-necks are lady shaped, so
they are meant for some lady shapes. Yes.
Collateral, lady shaped collateral. So Wendy, I've obviously known you for a long time, but there'll be some people watching who will only just be getting the full Wendiness. Can you give us a little bit of background to yourself and to Firefish, please?
Yeah, sure. So, gosh, I've been in the recruitment world for just about 20 years now. Love the industry and probably would like everyone to see me as a recruiter at heart. And it's given me a fantastic career. So yeah, I started recruitment. I then spun out and started my own recruitment agency back in 2004. Mm-hmm. And through that time, I was quite frustrated with the technology that was out there. So because I specialize in the technology sector, so did contract mainly and perm, I decided that we were going to start building our own recruitment software, which is what now Firefish is. And at that time, we did pretty well. And a lot of people were looking at, could we use the software? So we spun it out in 2010. So actually, it's a really exciting time for Firefish. Yeah. Because come January, we're going to be having our 10th birthday. Which is a real milestone for anybody that's been in business as well. So I'm fortunate that, I ran two businesses. I wouldn't say I did one really well at the early stage from 2010 to 2004, but that gave me the time to really position Firefish for where it was going to be in the market. And I sold on to management, investment-led management buyout of my agency to then grow Firefish.
I know a little bit about running two businesses at the one time, and I did not do it nearly as successfully as yourself. And at the time, I used to say it was a bit like trying to ride two horses with the one backside. But Firefish was born out of frustration. But did you at that point have ambitions? Right, I'm going to build a tech company, and I won't recruit anymore. Or were you at that point looking for a solution for your own company that you would simply use yourself and not market elsewhere?
I think if I'm honest, and anybody that knew me prior to even setting up my own recruitment business, I've always been a bit of a techie, and I probably always wanted to develop a technology business, but I was really good at recruitment. And so when I started it, I had the view that it was going to accelerate my recruitment business, but always is if this had legs, then I was committed to really running that. Yeah.
And it's quite a different thing to running a tech company than recruitment, because in recruitment, and I know a bit about your background in recruitment, you were a very, very well. You were a top biller in the company that you were in for a long time, and that doesn't happen by accident. But in recruitment, if you're running a recruitment firm, then you can lead from the front by placing more than anyone else places. You can show by example, and it's a great way to do it. But running a tech company, unless you're sitting programming yourself, then you can't do that. You have to rely on other people, and it's difficult to say, "Oh, get out of the way, I'll do it." So building a team, what I've seen with you building the team is I've constantly been amazed by the type and mix of people that you've built around you that have all contributed to the makeup of the culture that is Firefish. And obviously you lead it, but you've picked real gems along the way.
I've been really lucky. I think I've just approached sort of bringing people in that are passionate and engaged with what they want to do. But I think it's really important, and it's great that we're talking about video on this as well, because it's a great example that you let people breathe in a business, and you let them, when you're doing something new, And technology is advancing so quickly, and marketing and technology is advancing so quickly that you want to give them the space. You can't control things as I probably did. I am a very different business owner in my recruitment business than I am now, because they're just so different. And I think with the way that I've approached this is I'm wanting... In recruitment, you're managing people that are all doing the same job, slightly different, maybe sourcing and business development. But in here, you're bringing people with lots of different skill sets, and you want to make sure that they're adding those skill sets and developing their own career and having fun with it. So it has been a completely different attitude.
Yeah. No, the reason that I ask and talk about your team and the early days of Firefish is that all goes to your culture, and of course, video is a way in which you can reveal your culture to the world. A lot of companies are certainly have been quite shy about being open to the world, because it exposes them to not only scrutiny, but sometimes people poking holes in what you've done and say, well, you got it wrong there. But you've always been very, very visible in what you do, and video has been a big part of that from the earliest days. What do you see as the risks and benefits of exposing yourself and your company and what you do in doing that on video and in your marketing?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question, because I think I see video as one distribution channel. So I don't see it as, okay, now we're going to go on video. And I think that's the biggest sort of change, or the difference there is, like, when in my first business, I was quite worried about what everybody thought, and you had to go to stereotype of what that industry needed from you in order to recruit and mirror their behaviors. Where with this one, I just got to go and start again from scratch. And so from that, I just wanted transparency throughout the business. I was quite happy just to say, hey, this is who we are, and this is our brand. So I don't look at video in that way. I look at, is there a way of saying we're confident in what we do? This is the type of customers that we are really good at helping, and this is who we want to do business. And video has been a great way to amplify that brand, just as all the other things we do. So it's just, from that perspective, it was a bit of a no-brainer in terms of amplification of who you are. And yes, that brings, I suppose it's just when you're growing up and you're worried about what people are going to think of you. And then suddenly you say, hey, I'm quite happy. This is who I am. Well, that's exactly the same as I felt that the business is. I'm just like, I'm quite happy. And if you don't like us, then fair dues. There's other people in the market. Go to them.
I think it's certainly the case, because you're an early adopter of video, and you've produced so much by way of video content for all these years now, is that you don't look at the camera, you don't look at the tech and the equipment, you look past that to the message, to what you're putting out there. All of the tools, whether it be the tech and the gubbins to record things, or the platforms that you're putting content out on, those are all just stepping stones to get the message. So the messages can
absolutely, Stephen,
cream, if you like, and it means that you're not getting hung up on new fads and crazes and ways of doing things, but you're concentrating on the message.
Well, think about it in this way. If I did get worried about that, and I basically wanted just to be part of everybody's job here, then everybody else would be worried about it. So if I go on video and I haven't gotten some lipstick on, or I haven't got some makeup on, then everybody else would be thinking they've got to doll up for the camera as well.
Well, you don't have anything on just now.
The guys did see me put a wee bit of lip gloss on, and they said, you're going on camera. So
yeah. So in terms of what you do, the video content that you put out is not same old. It's pretty innovative, and it's very revealing about the people and the culture, and you put people front and foremost with the company. And as I said before, it takes a bit of bravery to do that. But where does that innovation as a marketer come from? Because you're a recruiter. As far as I know, you've not been on marketing courses. I know you've studied this, but where does the innovation side of things come from on the marketing side?
Well, I'm a great believer in terms of marketing in general that you've got to look out with your own industry. So, that was where, if you think about it, when I started coming from a recruitment business and starting into tech business, when I started to work out, my average cost per license was £70. Well, and if I followed all my competitors to events and this, etc., I quickly worked out how much money I was going to have to spend on my marketing budget, just even to sort of say hello.
Yeah.
And that would have put me out of business in the first 5 years.
Yeah.
So that was just a non-event. So I sat down there and thought, right, if I'm going to do this, I'm just going to have to decide that I'm going to do it completely different and be comfortable with that.
Yeah.
So that in turn forced me to do it. And then it was actually saying, okay, how have other companies done this? And look out with our sector to see best practice and then pull it back in those themes. So I spend a lot of time, looking at great brands, Wistia, MailChimp, and my husband's going to be laughing right now because he is a great fan of Wistia as well from that perspective and their video production. But yeah, and it's really sort of taking what they're doing, and then we call it recruitifying. So if anybody sort of gets annoyed with me in here, it's just how do we recruitify that idea and let's test it.
Yeah. So again, another compliment time. I know full well that there are lots of companies now who copy, well, not so much copy, but are inspired in their marketing by what you do. So where you're taking inspiration from others are taking it from you. And again, there can be the simple things that are really effective, like the red T-shirts. Incidentally, I've got my red specs on as well. But the red T-shirts, wherever you go at events, if there's a cluster of red T-shirts, Firefish are in the room. In the same way as if it's social talent, green T-shirts in the room. And you don't do things meekly. You don't do things quietly. I remember going to an event and we were in the same tube, and you were going to do a presentation to the audience. And by way of practice, you did it to the tube in rush hour traffic in London, which frankly takes a lot of balls. And
that was great fun.
And the thing is, if you can do that, then when you're then standing up in front of a room full of people and you really want to sell your message, then you're completely warmed up to it. But I would say that that's an example of you, but that's also an example of what you do in your marketing. You don't hold back. If you have an idea, you run with it. You're not you're not doubting yourself all the time. And there will be, I know this from speaking to you, there will be times when you've done things, you put out a message or a marketing exercise that's either not completely worked or sometimes even fallen on its face. But when you have so much content going out all the time, then the aggregate of them all is the overall message, and it propels you forward.
Yes, but I can also say that as much as I will, yes, I'm leading this company, but it is all about encouraging that attitude of allowing other people to do that. And, I always say, fail fast, and just have parameters. If you want to trial something, just allow people to trial it these days. They've got better ideas. I mean, I'm still trying to learn what Insta is. Insta, yeah, that's it. I'm not great on that channel right now, but the guys coming in, they're all over it. And, that's fine. If you can show me how we can use that to our advantage, go with it. And then if it works, we'll then really get behind it. And that's the approach that I think everyone should be bringing into their company.
One thing that's also clear to me in the marketing and the video that you do is it's not just a wall, on your YouTube channel, it's not just a wall full of videos talking about Firefish software, because everyone else does do that, but you can bang on about that all day, and essentially you're just sell. What you do in your marketing, which is really clever, is you demonstrate your expertise in your sector. You share value with your customers and prospective customers. You let them know that you know what you're talking about, and you're consistently giving them value. So when you're having your meetings on content, you're not thinking, I can imagine, you're not thinking, right, how do we flog more Firefish licenses this week? What you're thinking is, how do we give value? How do we demonstrate that we know what we're talking about? And how do we get people to be in a conversation with us rather than us just talking at them?
Yeah, totally. Everything is from the very start is to add value to people. And if you help somebody out, then they're going to remember you. And again, that comes back to your brand value. Gone are the days where you can just flog your software in front of them or flog your recruitment agency in front of them, because effectively it's not going to stick. So you're right. We have the content meeting. We're thinking about the different audiences that we're trying to reach and what's going to be valuable to them, and then building the strategy around that every month. Yeah.
On those videos that you record, I think I saw one once, but you must have a blooper reel somewhere of all the trip ups and mistakes that you have in recording videos. Do you bring a blooper reel once in a while just so everyone can have a laugh?
So Christmas parties are quite good fun.
Yeah. One thing actually that I really should point out as well is the layout of your office there. The aquarium, I think it's called. The aquarium there was specifically designed and layout so that the booth that you're sitting in. I know you conduct video demos and customer support calls, and of course hold crowdcast video shows all the time. So you're specifically set up so that video is at the center of what you do. The booth that you're sitting in there, I think there are 4 sitting along that wall.
There are,
and obviously we can see the office behind you, but you're in a well lit space. You've got the headphones on. You know what's going on there. But also within the offices there, you've got a huge big curved wall, which is perfect for showing video content on, which again would be great for training, for recording. You've got your brick wall that I see a lot of the videos that you're recorded against. So in terms of even just the makeup of the office, you're thinking about position, lighting, space. What will work well when we're putting out marketing content, and that to me shows a consciousness of, right, how are we going to use this space? What do we need to work for us? And other companies, I'm sure, could do the same. But what's the thought process for you?
So yeah, it was, first of all, with the office space, it was to create an experience for employees. But then, the thing that then takes it to the different dimension is that when you're creating an experience for the employees to enjoy, to come to work and be, functional in how the new working environment was going to be that we had planned out, then again, it's about that branding and then amplify that. You'll be amazed at how many people just want to see what goes on in the aquarium. And if we can share that visually, then brilliant. And yes, you're right. I have to say, again, it's down to Nick that does all the videos in terms of seeing the corner that would be best to sort of try and capture us, build, a theme of the resource tips that we do with the brick wall. So everybody sees the brick wall, they know that that's a valuable tip, rather than a product video. And it's just getting the corners of the office, and that sets the scene. And that means you don't have to think, where am I going to create a studio? It's actually there for you. Yeah.
It's perfect. And lots of companies would do very well to start thinking in the same way. So if we're going to be filming here, where would we do it? How do we do it? Is the sound going to be quiet enough? Is the space light enough? Can we position the camera or the tripod and so on, so that you can do that on a regular basis? And recruitment companies, more and more so nowadays, are setting aside a space for that purpose, where they can be recording videos, whether it be for branding or for particular vacancies they're recruiting for. So any recruiter can step into that space, get the video done, and get back on with the rest of the day, rather than it being a whole palaver to set up and take down again.
And I love that, because essentially from our experience, if you don't put a structure in place where it's just there and it makes it very easy to go and record it, then it won't get done. So if you build it into the everyday, then it just happens.
So the barriers to recording a video are taken out of the way, so that you don't have that excuse of, I'll get round to it later on. I need to do this, that, and the other first. You could go and do it straight away. So in terms of video content that you're putting out, what sort of, people are always asking me, and I'm sure they ask you, what sort of frequency do you have video content going out in your messaging?
So we have a regular Tuesday morning. That's when we're filming all the videos, and we'll be block booking. So effectively, as you said, we have a content meeting every Monday. That if you're interested, I can sort of give you a quick sort of share screen if we can get the tech to do this, and just sort of share a few bits and bobs. So this just shows you the amount of work that goes into our content. So we have a content meeting, and it's almost like I'd sort of laughed, and it's. Yeah, so in terms of here, we'll look at, all the sort of content that we're doing. It's all in a month in advance. So, we've just had our August meeting. We've planned out September. We look at, we'll make sure we've got a split that's going to hit each of our personas that come to our website. And now in terms of the video, what we take with that one is, if, it's split up to all the people in our growth team that then take responsibility for, looking at what they're going to, what topic they're going to do. They come up with the ideas, and then they're responsible for then going and doing a video tip, which then translates to the red brick I get that one, the red brick wall ones that come up here in terms of all the ones that then come through, and that's recorded as soon as the blog is, and that as soon as the blog is then sort of finished, it's then passed for editing, and then the guys then do their video. But then you've got lots of different things that we're looking at, because that's only one sort of stream of content that we have. We also then take things that, our product team are thinking about, right, what's the next thing out in our product? How can we show that? If you've mentioned, our crowdcasts are hugely popular. The guys have done an amazing job, and I had nothing to do with that in terms of like really getting that up and going. But, we just had one yesterday that had over 200 viewers on it, which in our industry is really, huge for crowdcast. And we're getting guests in, so that has a different feel, but it's all about branding and then making it available.
So your theming of the thumbnails, for example, leads the eye. So right, well, this is crowdcast, this is tech knowledge, and these are recruiting tips and so on.
Exactly.
And also, so actually on that point, what's very obvious straight away is the title of the video so large and prominent on the screen. Did you play around with different ways of doing it and then realize this is the best way to work when you see a wall full of video content?
Do you know, I have to say this is down to, somebody having a really good interest in video. So, Nick, our digital guy that effectively has a really good interest in the video, he had a good site, and it's just allowing them to go with it. So, he started to think, right, okay, let's have the brick wall. And then we just get used to, on a LinkedIn feed or a Facebook feed, because that's all the distribution channels that you want to push your video out to. Everybody sees the brick wall. I mean, a lot of people thought it was just we were putting a green screen behind it, but it is actually just a corner in our office, as you said. But that worked. And then we run with it. So when we're thinking about the different type of recruitment, we're trying to think about then how do we get the brand to come into that? And that's when we have somebody else that's sort of really taking an eye on the brand and thinking, right, we can evolve this. So, we've got somebody just now working on the crowdcast, and we're going to actually evolve that on because we've been doing that for quite a wee while, and make it look different and more appealing to then encourage people to click onto it.
Yeah. I have to say, I love the theming. I think the theming is great, and as you were showing on the spreadsheet, the target audiences where you've got the personas, and you're not accidentally focusing on one group a lot more than the other. You've got the spread, and you're not leaving people to one side. And I know I can see in there you've got Nemo and Dory, and so you've got your personas for types of customers or prospective customers, and you'll have all the thought process behind that as well. So I love how you go about it in such an organized fashion, whereas it can often be the case when people are putting together a video strategy, they're not as joined up as that, and they'll randomly find themselves doing the things that they enjoy doing more, but therefore ignoring some part of the demographic that they really should be paying attention to.
Yeah, and again, that's the biggest sort of takeaway where I've learned for the last years of doing everything, is that I'm very much for, if it works, build it into your business and just becomes business as usual. Because if you don't do that, it becomes a theme. You adopt it for a few months and then it's off.
Yeah. So I think we've got a really good understanding of Firefish. Anyone who didn't know Firefish, you should know a lot more now. But also, I encourage you to follow the links on the right and find out more for yourselves. Even if you're never going to be a prospective Firefish customer, if you're a company who's not even in recruitment, then there's huge lessons that can be learned from how Firefish go about what they do. Now. At this section of the program, I'd like to look at some videos of the week. And one of the videos of the week that I'd like to point to is one from yourselves. I've put a link on the right-hand side, Fish Focus Day. But I'll share my screen and I'll show you, I've got it over here. And in the Fish Focus Day, you can see the culture of Firefish being shared. Let me just get that on screen there. So we can see this. I'll turn the volume down, but Wendy, if you can explain a little bit about what's going on here.
So this is me talking. No. So yeah, Fish Focus Day is a way that we get the company together every 6 months. And one of the parts that we say, when you come to Firefish, we want you to be able to put your stamp on the business. Yeah. So this is me almost aligning the whole company to what what we're going to be focusing on for the next 6 months.
Yeah. And that's great.
there's the brick wall, and this is our director of customer. So we get everybody to come up from the different areas that we have, and Natasha in our fast track development team.
Can I just pause it there? I just want to tell everyone watching, your staff are not really small people. That is just a really big deck chair.
Yes, that is a huge deck chair. And that was the only thing about the aquarium that I didn't tell anybody about, and it just arrived. So that was quite good fun. So yes, but yeah, so we're basically demonstrating to everybody here that you have a voice. If you wanted to join Firefish, you know this is what to expect. But likewise, it helps everybody to understand that they're all part of this company and they're all part of growing. Yeah.
One thing that the recruitment companies often, well, certainly in the past have done, not so much nowadays, is they've kept the names, for example, of recruiters off adverts because they didn't want the individuals to be building their personal brand. But what they latterly found was that when they did allow people to be front of house, to be visible to the world, and not just recruiters, but the whole team, is that the whole team became much more loyal to the organization. They felt much more part of the brickwork, and that then meant that you had a more cohesive culture in your environment. People felt that they belonged in a much more realistic way.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I had to take a phone call. Live it to love it, but I'm still dedicated to it all. It also shows I have nothing to do with the production here because I don't know if I would have had that bit of part in. So it's just a good and personal branding is something that is a risk on it, etc. But as I keep saying that, you've just got to trust in who you hire and allow them to develop personal brand. I think what's risky is if you just allow one person to take the ownership of that. That's more risky on that. But if you just make it part of everybody, then it's the company brand you're developing. And yes, the individuals get a bit of a kick there in terms of being able to build their own personal brand because you've given them that platform. But ultimately, that platform is part of the company, and they may not get that platform elsewhere.
Excellent. And going on to and going on to more of our videos of the week. What am I looking for? This video here is actually this video came across from LinkedIn. Now there's a link to it on the right hand side there. In terms of a video for recruitment or marketing in itself, I wouldn't put it up there as that, but it's a great video in terms of putting a great recruitment video is easier than you think, and it's talking about the practicalities and the way that you approach recording a video. So I would definitely recommend that. I won't go through that in detail just now or play it, but showing that whether you're recording with highly professional equipment or as basic as smartphones. I say basic because smartphones are hugely sophisticated nowadays, and people often don't realize that they have this kind of almost fully formed studio in their pocket. It's a great way of getting into producing content that can really stand out, that can really be as branded as you need it to be and as authentic as you have to be. And going back to yourselves, authenticity comes right through all of the videos that come out for Firefish. One other channel I want to point to, and again, it's not so much the individual videos, although the individual videos are fabulous. I'll refresh the screen. This is a recruitment company, and their videos are hilarious. The video comes up at the top as a kind of a spoof breaking news, but they do a whole clutch of them, as well as the serious stuff. They demonstrate their expertise the whole time in what they do and have a sense of humor about it. So you can see, for example, candidate Justin brings too much Bieber to an interview, or shit.
I love that. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, and shit not to say in an interview. So again, it's breaking through that. Well, from an acting point of view, you would talk about breaking the third wall or the fourth wall. You're saying things that you shouldn't be saying. You're breaking away from the overly formal way in which people often approach their videos and their marketing, and they can. And when you write an email to someone and you sound a lot more formal than you are if you were speaking directly to them. Companies often do the same with their videos, and they do what they think they should be doing rather than letting the personalities come through. So you can see in this, they've broken it down into different playlists, where you've got the more the more serious stuff. You got recruiting events, the candidates, and so on. But these videos are a great way of showing the personality of this company without breaking it down that, well, this must be just, you know, an amateur place to work. It's got expertise all the way through it, whilst showing a sense of humor.
So just on that, to back it up, I mean, if you said to me at the very beginning, you know, where do you get your inspiration in terms of your marketing stuff? Well, if I look at it, my daughter is 9. She doesn't watch TV anymore. She watches YouTube.
Yeah.
You know, and it's all reality, and it's all just personalities and sort of getting into, you know, what's happening in somebody's life. That's where we're going. So anything that allows us to not, you know, to see into that company, how they do things, that's going to amplify and win friends, you know.
Yeah.
So and that's really where I think the recruitment industry and what you guys are doing can really help to not only from a recruitment agency to amplify their own brand, but also help to amplify clients' brands as well.
It can seem like a bit of a cliched line to say, but because there is so much automation of the recruitment processes, and in a lot of ways absolutely should be, we can often find recruiters hiding behind the tech, hiding behind, you know, emails and messaging and LinkedIn and so on, and increasingly candidates are researching and want to speak with, you know, the company or the recruitment agency. They want to speak with humans. They want to get that interaction, that engagement. And so we talk often about, you know, rehumanizing the recruitment process. Automate all the things that can be automated, but in the way in which you can be that person who has judgment that is useful, that works and is valuable for your clients, if you're an agency or if you're an internal recruiter, then, you know, demonstrate that not only to your stakeholders in the organization, but to the candidates that you're speaking with. And when it comes to the point where you've got the difficult parts of recruitment to do, which, you know, often it's rejecting candidates or you know, letting people down, then if you've been human all the way through the process, then candidates are more than adult enough to take it, and they know that it's not been just the computer rejecting them. It's you know, it's been a really engaged process. So the way that Firefish goes about your marketing from a video standpoint, and a real joined up fashion with all of the other channels that you use, I'm a big admirer. And
thank you.
I often point other people when they say, but how can I do this and how can I do that? And I say, well, have a look at Firefish. So great examples. Thank you. I've just noticed the time. We're a little bit over. Thank you, Wendy, so much for coming on this week. Before we go, can I ask, do you have any top tech tips or sneaky tips in terms of video that you could pass on that you've learned?
Couple, and I'll be really quick because I know the time is there, but a couple of things. Good lighting is one, and you'll see if I go like that. There's a halo behind, so getting the positioning correct and make sure my head is in that. But that helps. And also one of the things that took a wee bit of time to get into, because a lot of recruiters are probably like me in that we just like to go and talk in front of a camera and see how it goes. But actually, a little bit of forward thought in terms of what you're going to say does help. And you can get very, you know, the tech out there is so easy, but we have a little auto script that has, you know, that can play underneath your camera, and you're able to then teleprompter, that'll be the word. You know, that's actually been really good, and the quality of the output in terms of what you're doing is much better.
Yeah, teleprompters are genius. You know, when you see politicians speaking and they're looking straight at the audience and they're delivering, you know, a speech that might be an hour long, you think, how can they remember all of that? But if they pull back, you can see that there's the glass reflection for the teleprompter. So they're looking through the glass at the audience. And if you've got a teleprompter either in or beside the camera, then because candidates, when they're looking for a job, they're not looking at videos on their TV, they're looking at it on one of these. And when people are looking at one of these, they're doing it on their own, because recruitment is a solitary exercise when you're looking for a job. So if you're looking directly at the camera and the video, the teleprompter is there, then you're looking at the eyes of the person and you're engaging with them. If you are continually doing this, every time you look at them, you're disengaging from them, and it's not nearly as effective.
And my last one as well is there's lots of software that will give you the subtitles. Make sure if you're going to post it,
Yeah.
a lot of people won't listen with or won't look at a video that's got text without the subtitles. So make sure you have this, and they will do it automatically. And as a Glaswegian firm, that's pretty important for us.
Oh, I'm offended.
I think you're posh Glasgow, but
I'm not posh Glasgow at all. I'm from Airdrie.
So that would be my 3 hot tips for videoing, getting it right.
Yeah, no, absolutely. A lot of people do watch videos with the sound either down or off altogether. And the other thing that you can do is either have captions on screen or, well, in addition, whatever you're talking about on the video, have a transcript of the content in the description below. So on YouTube, because YouTube is part of Google, then they index all the content on there. And if you want to have, keywords and SEO phrases, then have them in there, and that's going to really help your video come up in search results, because search results with video are prioritized on Google and other search engines.
Definitely.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for those top tips. Those were.
Here's what I found.
Oh, I don't know what you found.
It wasn't me. Because I said the word Google, then the bloody tablet to the side of me kicked in. So I don't know why my Hey Google over there hasn't said anything either. So thank you very much for that genius advice. Next week, we're going to have another star guest. I'll let everyone know on Monday. We'll know if they're secure. But in the meantime, Wendy, you have been spectacularly good. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank everyone else for joining on the channel on the side, and I'll see everyone next week. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Thanks everyone. Bye. Bye-bye.